Every NBA slate is a mess to some degree. This one is a mess to one of the highest orders ever. So many guys out, so many guys questionable, so many guys not priced for those situations. We're going to do what we always do here. Compare my projections, some of the industry leaders out there in Stokastic, and our presenting sponsor on here, Unabated. Of course, we're looking at some of the betting markets as well, see the best prop bets, courtesy of Unabated's conditional NBA projections. We'll sim some DFS lineups. We're going to figure it out, but let's open it up. Of course, the favorite way we open things up. Reading this Underdog tweet with all the Q tag guys. Questionable right now. Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, who I wrote up for our DraftKings network today. Jason Tatum, if he's out, major ramifications for a guy in Jaylen Brown who's already fairly chalky. It'd be owned by about like 1/5 of the field, 1/4 of the field right now. If Tatum's out, you're going to get Jaylen Brown super chalk, along with the other guys looking better. Kobe White, Q tag. You already have Zach LaVine out for the Bulls, so that matters a lot. Andrew Nembhard, less so. Grady Dick, always a play that I get a little bit. I always get a taste of Dick. Emmanuel quickly, less slates. Al Horford does matter a little bit after he, quote unquote, played the other day and then didn't play at all in that one. That was annoying. Caleb Martin, Q tag for him. Najee Marshall, Naz Reid, Ryan Dunn. Guys are out. Also include LaMelo Ball, Alex Sarr. You also have Mark Williams out, one of our faves here for the Hornets. Steph Curry, who was a late downgrade yesterday. He's a play that's going to matter today if he can go or not with an injury management issue. So there's a lot going on in this one. It is a mess, as is the case for every day lately, which is not filling me with joy, I have to admit. Stokastic did not update their minutes projections before the show, so I had to go and run through everything here, for a massive slate, it's not the most fun thing in the world. You can see here the top projected players right now that I have, according to my data. And shout out to the chat as well. We got a lot going on here. They could start Porter. They could start Porter. It's going to be Ty Jerome, though. Ty Jerome. People want Ty Jerome. Yeah, Darius Garland out as well as one name I didn't mention. Ty Jerome going to look good as well, which we'll see in a moment. But let's talk about Nikola Jokic here. Nikola Jokic, your top projected play in the slate right now, 16% owned. I have to point out that, again, Stokastic has not updated their data since this morning. So as a result, it's a little bit stale. It's getting to the point where I'm thinking about, do I need to start doing my own minutes? Do I have to get a minutes source from somewhere else? That's one thing, by the way, I'm just thinking about for the sake of just the quality of the show. Always trying to keep it on point. For Jokic, though, high salary, 12-3 here. He's your highest salary guy by a pretty wide margin on the slate. That said, I got him at 25% of my lineups right now. I imagine the Fields ownership is going to go up with the value opening up compared to what Stokastic had this morning, where 16% for Jokic made sense when there wasn't crazy value. Now there's insane value everywhere. He's going to go up as a result. Projects pretty well. The spot for Denver today. Good 119.8 implied total. Facing New York at MSG. Denver, 2.5-point dog. Going head-to-head with Towns. Towns going to put up his part, I'm sure. Jokic going to go hard at Towns in this entire matchup. I like Jokic a lot. I also like his competitor today, Karl Anthony Towns, 9,700 for him. 13% field ownership. I got him at double that. So over on Jokic, over on Towns. I am sure that both these numbers are going to come up ownership-wise because, again, Stokastic is not accounted for all the value that's open up today. The issue with Jokic and Towns is there's also one great center value play today you're going to want to play, and that's the guy left behind with no Alex Sarr today. Jonas Valanciunas is going to be a key play as well. So Jokic, Towns, good ownership going their way, and I certainly will get a good amount today no matter what. Tyrese Maxey, the man that I caped for on stream here yesterday, put him on the thumbnail, surprised by his ownership. He has a DFS slate winning day. You have no Paul George again today, no Joel Embiid again today. Philadelphia yesterday beat up on a certainly weak Los Angeles team, which was the thing we talked about. Today, Philadelphia gets Sacramento at home, and Philadelphia is at home for that one. Bet an 8-point dog here is Philadelphia right now. Sacramento's defense, certainly one I'm not afraid of. Maxey with a crush of usage overall in court time without Embiid and without Paul George on the year. Maxey has had, gotta go through all my rates here, 32% usage, 31% assist rate, 1.23 fantasy points per minute. Maxey, another great play on the slate here. If you're paying down at center, getting Maxey, I think it'd be a preferred thing to do. But I am team Maxey here once again. 2x a field on Maxey for me right now. Domantas Sabonis went nuts the other day. Sabonis, I got him at 10% compared to the Fields 15. I've not been that high on Sabonis. That said, he has been a much better player, it seems like, fantasy-wise, since Doug Christie took over. Kings also been a better team, which is kind of odd, the timing of De'Aaron Fox wanting the trade from the Kings, given the fact that the Kings, I think, have won 11 out of 15 or something like that. They're playing well right now. Sabonis, though, I'd rather have Towns at a cheaper price tag, rather have Jokic a more expensive price tag, rather have J-Val. I don't get a lot of Sabonis on slates today. I'm getting 10%, which is honestly a lot for me. If you want to go his way, he's certainly a lesser-owned pivot, I guess. But right now, he's projected pretty flat ownership-wise with Towns and Jokic. So I don't know. I don't know there's really a reason to go to Sabonis on the slate besides the fact he put up almost 70 fantasy points the last time he played. Miles Bridges. So again, for Charlotte, you have no LaMelo, no Mark Williams. You also are missing a lot of random guys in the wing. Obviously, Trey Mann is still out, but Charlotte's missing. There's like a bunch of dudes. They're also missing Josh Green. That matters a lot for minutes. They're missing Tajon Salon, who could take minutes, but he's in the G League right now. Missing Cody Martin still has been out with I guess it's now a sports hernia injury. It was a core injury before. Basically, they just don't have guys in the wing. And Miles Bridges, when you take the star players out, he just loves to shoot the ball quite a bit. This year, with all the guys out for Charlotte that are out today, I don't think it's the biggest sample size in the world, but still 322 possessions for Miles Bridges. He's averaged 1.3 fantasy points a minute, along with 34% usage, a 14% rebound rate, and a 23% assist rate. Miles Bridges is not a player who I normally like. I normally also really don't like putting him on the thumbnail because he's a domestic abuser. He's not like a dude that I like very much as a human being. That said, fantasy-wise, he's playing Brooklyn tonight, who sucks. Low-paced matchup overall, but not a team that's going to defend him in a way where you're like, oh, or you're worried about getting blown off the court. Brooklyn actively doesn't want to win. They benched D'Angelo Russell in the fourth quarter when they had a shot to beat Sacramento the other day. So Brooklyn throwing games right now actively. Charlotte, weak, but condensed rotation. Should be a 10-man rotation today, I believe. A lot of guys out here. KJ Simpson currently not in the Stokastic rejection set, but I think he's going to play today. Point being is like Miles Bridges, Josh Okogie, Moussa Diabate to a lesser extent. These guys all in play. Daquan Jeffries, Isaiah Wong, I got some of. That's going to come down if I move Simpson's minutes a little bit. Charlotte is one of your best plays in the slate, I think, unfortunately. I know people hate playing the shitty teams or whatever. I've heard people complain enough times on this chat and other chats or whatever. But as I always talk about here, DFS is a game of minutes, opportunity, price tag. That's all it is. It's not really a phrase I've said very often in that exact way, but ultimately that's everything I talk about here. So we talked about ownership too yesterday for guys like Amin Thompson, guys like Damian Lillard. Again, people are going to question like, oh, Hornets suck. I'm not going to play anybody. I can't encourage you guys enough when we talk about these DFS things quite a bit. CJ, I literally just said no Salon today. He's not been called up. He's on assignment. Point being for Charlotte right now, people are going to maybe not play these guys as much as they should when they are thinking a little bit more myopically about a slate and like, oh, these guys aren't good players. It just doesn't matter. It's still a Charlotte team projected for 104.3 implied points. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to go around, even with the down pay spot versus Brooklyn. So you're going to play a lot of Hornets today. You're not going to love it, but it does start with Miles Bridges, who I have more than 2x the field on. Frankly, with a almost 50 fantasy point projection for me at 8,200, I can put him in every lineup and not feel bad at it. There's a short rotation here, missing all those guys we talked about. That's how it looks right now. Cade Cunningham, really low ownership for all these top protected guys for me right now. Tatum, again, the Q tag on him matters a lot if he does play his interesting tournament option, but really just not getting the rest of these pay up options / semi pay up options overall. Nobody above 10% for me here, so you can see the names here. For the sake of saving time, I'll skim through it. Let's sort by value. The Bridges one, though, is a big stand for me, as you can see. I do have him about 7 points higher than Stokastic. That's how it's looking. All right. Sort range here. Value. I'm not getting a Dembona, no. I mean, Yabusele is going to play most likely, so no. Dembona I would only play if every other possible big man were out. He's just not a good enough player. So big stands here. Somebody in the chat actually nailed this. It's going to be like 80% owned. Said Tango Hotel earlier. I have Ty Jerome in 80% of my top 150 lineups. So big fan of Ty Jerome generally, as I've talked about a lot. And we've hit on him a lot in the show. He's just a great play when you have guaranteed court time for him. For Ty Jerome, the spot, 80% ownership compared to the field's 12. Against Stokastic this morning did not account for Garland being out. They didn't know it yet, but they just haven't updated since. So the ownership's going to come up based on the Stokastic ownership projection. But then the spot for Ty Jerome, 80% for me right now is an 8x value. I have them putting up 35 fantasy points, 28.8 minutes. Went through the rotations a little bit. I gave Craig Porter about 25 minutes. Gave a few more to... Who I gave more? Gave more to one of the shitty Cleveland guys. Gave more to Sam Merrill as well, who would be an okay value to me. But basically, because you don't have Karis LeVert out there, you got to play some different guys at guard. Jerome's going to be the one who gets the most minutes. Craig Porter probably rotates in as a third guard. I don't know that he actually plays 25 minutes, but if he does play 25, he'd theoretically be a pivot to Ty Jerome. But if Ty Jerome starts, I think he's a lock button play for me. If he plays off the bench, he still probably ends up closing that game. And then I think Craig Porter would come down a little bit in terms of his opportunity. Ty Jerome to me is a great play, but again, I haven't projected right now for the minutes. I had to change things around. Stokastic may view it differently, and that would sort of knock him down a little bit more. Yeah, Bridges, I think, would have to be a splash play based on the ownership and all that and the projection. I mean, like I got him a ton, so I'm certainly not fading Bridges today. Jonas Valanciunas, Stokastic didn't update for the Alex Sarr thing yet, so I had to move the minutes around for Jonas. He has played upwards of 32 minutes of court time without Sarr this year, generally playing at least 28, so I projected him at 28. Even if you knock that projection down a little bit here at 5,400, I got him at a 41 projection. He looks amazing to me. He was only in 1% of the lineup pool, so I'm only getting 13% ownership, but I imagine that J-Val is now going to be a chalk play. A lot of lineups today will start with Ty Jerome and J-Val, and they absolutely should. You know, the ownership doesn't look like it right now. Again, Stokastic didn't update it, so we're thrown off a little bit on that front. We got Josh Okogie here at 4,300 because you have in particular Josh Green out. So Okogie, for the most part, is Miles Bridges' backup. They're now short so many guys in the wing that Okogie probably has to play meaningful minutes. There's a very small sample size this year of court time for him without LaMelo and without Mark Williams and Brandon Miller as well, which I don't think matters that much for Okogie. Basically, he's averaged like 1.5 fantasy points a minute. That's going to come down a little bit. But Okogie on the year has been playing extremely well, whether he's playing in Phoenix or here. Okogie's been averaging 0.97 fantasy points per minute. Today, Stokastic had him at 29.2 minutes. I have him with that at 1.07 fantasy points per minute. I think Okogie is your other big value play here at 4,300. These three, I imagine, will be in most of my lineups. Okogie, I got in 79%. Field was at 66 before. Probably comes down a little bit for him because of more value opening up, I would guess, in the Fields ownership. But these guys, to me, are the big three of value. Ty Jerome, Jonas Valanciunas, Josh Okogie. And there are three guys, too, where value sometimes fails because another guy in the rotation gets the minutes, directly pulls away from the guy who we're expecting to have, be that primary value. You're not going to get that today, I don't think, for these three guys. Like J-Val, if he gets into foul trouble or something, he still probably plays enough minutes, my guess. Okogie, they just don't have enough bodies, and he's a reliable guy who's out there. Maybe if like Daquan Jeffries goes, even that, you'd have to have Nick Smith, Daquan Jeffries both going off, and then they ice Okogie from getting on the court. I just don't see how he doesn't play the minutes. So I feel really strongly about these three guys. Obviously, I always feel strongly about the plays I'm advocating for, but like in particular for having a hard time seeing the no outcome. I don't think that Ty Jerome, Jonas Valanciunas, or Josh Okogie have very strong failure outcomes. I think they're very likely to be good plays. And frankly, if you're telling me I couldn't play them or I had to lock them in every lineup, I'd probably lock them in every lineup. Isaiah Wong at a 3K minimum salary. Stokastic did not have KJ Simpson playing. I didn't change those minutes yet, but basically I would think Wong and Simpson split the minutes. They also both hurt Vasilij Micic in his opportunity too, with them likely rotating in behind Micic, and Micic just never gets there. His price tag is up too. So thankfully not a Micic slate, but it's also probably not really an Isaiah Wong slate. Justin Edwards started yesterday. If he starts again, he'll probably be in a decent opportunity here. 29.5 minutes this way. As we saw yesterday, ended up being Ricky Council having the better day. Basically, these two guys are competing for the same minute share for the most part. They'll play on the court together a little bit, but if one plays well, the other one's going to siphon minutes away from the other one. Ended up being Ricky Council off the bench yesterday, so that's how that looks. Miles Bridges still a top value for me despite the high projection. Hartenstein for the FanDuel slate, which is in here. I don't really care. Kello Ware looking okay at his salary, 6,200. Oubre looking okay. Going to playing a ton of minutes, though. Stokastic has him at 35 today, as opposed to the high 30s they had yesterday. That's how it looks. Taj Gibson. What about Taj Gibson? Taj Gibson is not a very good player. He certainly will hurt the minutes outlook for Diabate a little bit. Part of why I guess I wouldn't have Diabate as super chalk today, because he's projected to be owned by about 45% of the field. I got him in half that. But Diabate, not a great play. I don't think he could be okay at 3,700. He would not be quite in that value I can't avoid tier as much as Ty Jerome, J-Val, and Okogie. Let's go game by game here. Frankly, the game by game for the show might be more important coming up soon for reasons you'll maybe see in the future. Toronto here, 118 implied points. Washington, 112. We're going to try and speed run through this one. It gets unabated at 4:30 today, guys, because I got to make decent time. I swear to dude, you can't do this every day. I'm sorry. You can't just do fake things every day and be wrong. Sorry. Go away. Toronto, 118 implied. It's a 5-minute ban for you, but like it's getting close to a full one. Toronto, 118 implied points. Washington, 112 implied points. Not a lot of big ownership for Toronto. Nobody that really matters that much. You already know Manuel Quickley's out. You need a surprise rule out here for somebody to matter here. RJ Barrett getting owned by about 1/5 of the field. That's going to come down, I think, because of the value opening up. But basically, no big pro stands in favor for me here. I'm low on Scotty Barnes pretty much every slate now. I have about 3 fantasy points lower than Stokastic does. I don't really know why. These guys versus Washington, I have no issue with the matchup, obviously. Anybody against Washington's good, but teams against Washington tend to get a little bit overplayed every single time. And if the projection doesn't match up, I'm not doing it. And frankly, one of my biggest regrets of yesterday's video, which I talked about at length, was really juking the Houston projections, try to get more Amin Thompson deliberately, knowing that I thought he'd be super chalky. When my projections were not naturally giving me him a ton. For Toronto, like, yeah, you could say, like, let's force our way to more Barnes, more Barrett, more whatever here, more Pirtle, certainly. I don't really think you should do that. And I feel like I learned a lesson. Like, I'd had a lot better lineups if I let my projection set lie naturally with how it was, instead of going like, you know what, man, I'm going to get Houston on the day where everybody wants to play him. Really an important DFS lesson was in there, and I'm just really saying it out loud for you guys for that reason. People are going to jam these guys in because they're playing Washington. In reality, it's not a fantastic total. It's a mostly full strength lineup. Somebody can absolutely hit it from this team, but like, what if Chris Boucher puts up fucking 30? Like, that hurts Barnes, that hurts Barrett. I don't know that it's like a smash spot for these guys, but RJ Barrett's being owned like it's a smash spot. Barnes is being owned enough. Pirtle's being owned enough. Just like, don't go crazy for plays that aren't actually well projected, I think is sort of an important one. And that guy just makes up fake. He says that guy's going to start every day and has been wrong like 5 times. I can't, but it's not a fun bit. Like, accuracy is like what we strive for here on Splash. That's why like I obsess over the minute stuff. Why it frustrates me when they're not updated in time for me to do the show. Like, you got to be right about stuff. you don't have to be right about stuff. Like, you can't just say things and be wrong all the time. Washington 112 implied points. As we talked about, J-Val's status is going to change quite a bit here. He should be one of the chalkiest players on the slate. If I had to guess, 50 to 66 would be my guess. I think J-Val is going to be a lot higher owned basically right now. Got him in 13% of my top 150, but that's because he wasn't being generated a lot in Stokastic's contest pool. When they update their data, he's going to get generated a lot more. So J-Val is going to be a key play today. Jordan Poole looking okay here. I got him at 14%. He does project pretty well for me. 37.6 fantasy points compared to 36.2. Again, I don't think it's like a bad environment for this game, but it really seems to me J-Val revenge spot theoretically from, a couple teams ago. It's still technically a revenge spot. Raptors team that could certainly miss a lot of shots as well, even though they are facing a really soft Washington defense. I think J-Val is really one of your lock button plays, really. Bub Carrington, okay at 3,900. Really no other big stands here. Brooklyn looks awful. When you have Ben Simmons in, I really don't want to get to D'Angelo Russell as much, so I didn't really juke his rates, get anything there. I also, frankly, having watched Brooklyn that last game throw in the towel versus Sacramento when they really shouldn't have, they took D'Angelo Russell out with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter when they were down 8 points, and it's like, okay, you're clearly doing the thing now, which I don't, DFS people don't pay enough attention in game like that. Frankly, I don't every single game, but like that was one where I had money on Russell. I'm like, I want to see what's going on here. They're not playing for real now. So against a Charlotte team that actively could lose to them, I don't expect them to play for real no matter what. So Stokastic having all these guys under 28 minutes, I think that's it. You have Clowney out, which should open more opportunity theoretically, but like, I just don't know. Yeah, tanking in January is like extra gross. But like legit, if you're pulling Russell out in the fourth quarter when you're in range and like he's playing well enough, like you're actively doing something here to sabotage the team. So I really would have a hard time playing any of these guys. If you're going to play any of the guys, I'd play the younger ones, but none of them project that well in a full rotation. So it's just a stupid team. I'm not going to Russell anymore, even though I think he's great in this Brooklyn environment. Price tags have to drop for everybody, I think, to play Brooklyn again. Charlotte, we've talked about them enough here. Major chalk. Low on Diabate. I'm at a 21.3 projection compared to 24.9. He just hasn't been that good. I tried to give him a rate boost for Mark Williams off the court. He just doesn't do enough per 100 for it to matter. He's still cheap enough, but like if you're talking about him versus J-Val, I would play a super chalky J-Val over a lesser owned Diabate pretty much 10 times out of 10. Josh Okogie, one of the best values on the slate to me. That's not going to change. 4,300. He's been a great producer around the years. We talked about just shy of 1 fantasy point per minute, counting for the matchup and the lack of bodies for Charlotte and the total as well. Obviously, that all rolls together in my projection set. Okogie looks like one of the best plays in the slate. I have an 80% of my top 150 lineups. Bridges, more than 2x the field on him. Low on Nick Smith. If Bridges fails, Nick Smith, better shot at getting there. I just don't think Nick Smith is like a great talent, and Bridges, if he's out there, he's going to get up a lot of shots. One thing people may miss, the last time Nick Smith went off was, I believe that was a no Bridges game as well. So when you have Bridges out there, Bridges just straight up, I mean, he's an asshole. Like that's why he's a domestic abuser. That's why I don't like him very much. He's not a good dude from every sense I've gotten, but he also just doesn't respect his teammates. So like when he's out there with guys that aren't the stars, he just takes every possession away, which sucks like as team basketball as a concept. But for a player who's just going to be relentlessly chasing his own shot and thinks he's the best player on the court, For Bridges, that matters a lot. So I would say that for Miles Bridges, he is a core play to me. Would rather do that. I'd rather play Jeffries than Nick Smith. Jeffries is cheaper and has been a similarly good per minute producer. Look, Nick Smith is guaranteed starters run. So like, I'm not going to tell you don't play Nick Smith at all. I got him at 13% of my top 150. I'm not flat fading him, but like, it's just not like if people chase him at all because he had the one good game on a day where some Hornets guys were out, like that was with Mark Williams in, no Bridges, no LaMelo. Different situation than Bridges in. Bridges is just a black hole of awfulness and also just possessions, which is good for fantasy. He's going to take all the possessions. He's also going to rip rebounds and not even consider passing to teammates. Like Bridges is just an asshole on the court, but that's good for fantasy, bad for the other secondary guys. Okogie, though, will get his own rebounds, get his own shit, and, probably a little more respected as a vet, but that's that. Detroit, honestly, very in favor of Jalen Duren today in a way I wouldn't expect. That's going to move around, though, with the J-Val value and just getting more of him in the contest pool for me to sim off of. That said, Jalen Duren been playing really well. Still has Isaiah Stewart taking minutes away from him theoretically, but the minutes have started to move more in favor of Duren and a little bit of overlap occasionally in court time minutes between those two guys. So Duren at 5,800, you can chase him, and he's probably your most live J-Val pivot. Cade Cunningham, even with me giving him the boost for Jaden Ivey, I have him 3 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. Didn't get him very much, only at 1%. Beasley, a guy I normally like because of how he plays out Ivy as well. Didn't get him very much. Just not really big in favor stands for Detroit here, unfortunately. I guess I don't even know. It's unfortunately. Just it is what it is. Indiana, 119.5 implied points. Literally nothing here. If Nemhard's out, things will look a little bit better for the rest of the guys. But for the sake of saving time here, good total for Indiana. But at too much of a rotation, they have 11 guys projected to play some amount of minutes. And none of them have high usage generally. Nobody above 25% overall. I just don't play Indiana very much, and that's going to be the case today. Cleveland, 116 implied points ownership was before because Stokastic didn't rule Garland out, so I had to update the minutes myself and sim off of that. That said, got Ty Jerome a bunch, even with him not being a ton in the pool. I imagine you'll get more Donovan Mitchell in the ownership. You'll get more Mobley. You'll get more Jarrett Allen, but I don't know that any of them are smash plays overall in terms of ownership. Would think, though, that Mitchell becomes, and Mobley to a lesser extent, becomes a lever against Ty Jerome. If Ty Jerome fails, it's probably because Mitchell and maybe Craig Porter took some minutes away. But Mitchell probably had an outlier day and just didn't share the ball as much with a guy like Ty Jerome. That said, I've been pretty clear about it. I'm in favor of Ty Jerome. Have him as an 8x value right now if he's going to play 29 minutes. If he doesn't start, I did knock him down to like 25 minutes or so. That would drop the projection down enough that I wouldn't get him quite as much. But I think Ty Jerome, if he starts, smash play. If he doesn't start, if they go with like Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, Strus, Merrill, I guess would be it. Ty Jerome then probably projects closer to 25 minutes, and Craig Porter is not really a play, would be my thought. Miami on their side, Kello Ware looking good. No Jimmy Butler again for a suspension. So if you wanted to get to hero, you could. I gave these guys the no Jimmy Butler rate bump. None of them really got there. Ware, though's been great. I'll keep chasing him at 6,200. Had the down game last time out. Still, I think worth exposure at his price tag with where it is. Jaime Jaquez back in the rotation today, we would assume. 12% ownership for me compared to the field's 12. But no big stands on Miami here. It's not the most appealing environment going against Cleveland. Technically a pace up, but tough defensive matchup on paper. We're in Diet Coke season here. I need some caffeine. Chicago, 106.8 implied points. Boston, 121.3. Chicago, despite Levine being out, nobody looks that better. That said, court time without Levine this year, Josh Giddey's averaged about 1.2 fantasy points per minute, maybe closer to 1.25. I think he's worth trying to get to for a tournament option. Kobe White, if he's out, everybody's going to look a little bit better as a result. I would assume Giddey, Vucevic, Ball in particular. But for right now, these guys aren't great plays overall. The matchup with Boston, not a high total. Still a deep enough rotation too, where there isn't a big minutes, benefit to having Levine out. I don't think there's any must-have plays here, even though Dosunmu, Giddey, Vooch all become better tournament options. And Kobe White, with him being questionable, I probably wouldn't play Kobe White no matter what. Boston, 121.3 implied points. They are cheap without Hawkins, but like those kind of plays are never ones I really want to gravitate towards. Talking about trading one low usage guy for another low usage guy, I don't know. I also didn't update New Orleans minutes for it anyway, so I wasn't getting those guys because, frankly, I don't think Hawkins matters that much. He matters much, a little bit for minutes, but doesn't really matter because he doesn't do a lot out there when all the guys are healthy. Boston, 121.3. As I mentioned, Jaylen Brown is chalk right now. Going to be even chalkier if Jason Tatum gets rolled out. Right now, it's Tatum in. I think Tatum's a nice tournament play. Jaylen Brown, kind of a core lineup play. Everybody else I wouldn't get more of, but if you get Tatum out. Brown's going to be an absolute chalk play. Porzingis will look better. Derek White will look a lot better, I think. Drew Holiday will look borderline playable. Pritchard will look borderline playable. Everything will look better if Tatum's out, but for right now, I know Unabated has been a 50% chance to play. I think that's probably about right. 3 games ago, Jerome went 33 minutes. There's quite a ceiling. Close game, not a blowout. There you go. Look, I think 28's a good projection for Jerome, even if he went off the bench. But if he came off the bench, I'd probably knock his minutes down a little bit just because you don't want to get him in every lineup at that point. But look, they prefer playing 2 guards for Cleveland. Like, they prefer to play like 2 ball-dominant guards. That's been clearly an approach. They generally will rotate, in Jerome, keep one of Mitchell out there or Garland, and just keep rolling that way out with all 3 guys throughout the rest of the game. So, like, my assumption would be that Ty Jerome is out there for most of the game. And what he's not out there for, Craig Porter's in for. Denver, 119.8 implied points. New York, 122.3. On paper, marquee match with a slate, I guess. Nikola Jokic got him at 25%, compared to the field 16. As I mentioned, the value opening up means the field will probably get more Jokic now, but as of right now, I'm technically above the field on it. Westbrook, a little bit lower in my projection, but still getting him in 15% of my lives compared to 22. Not a big stand there. Denver looks good here. I would say, like, low-owned Jamal Murray in the spot. You're getting leverage on a decently owned Jokic, decently owned Westbrook kind of time. I think you maybe could take some shots at Murray, but nothing here looks that great. New York, 122.3 implied points. Sam Merrill got a Q tag now. All right, well, that would certainly open things up even more, I guess, for that Cavs team. It would make it more likely, too, that Ty Jerome would get his minutes, but anyway. Checking Underdog really fast, see if anything came through. All right, so for New York on their side, Towns getting him above the field 2x. I always like Towns. I'm always low on Brunson, high on Towns. One of the things to know about my projection set with how these guys have played this year. No issue getting either guy, though. Competitive spot versus Denver. I think Brunson, interesting tournament play, but he shouldn't be higher on than Towns than he is. Josh Hart's questionable right now. He always plays, so I really wouldn't worry about it. Got him in 5% of my lineups. It's a really nice total here, so if you want to take your shot in the random Anunoby game, random Bridges game, you certainly could. But none of them really stand out too much for me. Yeah, Crack just said that, or K-Rack, whatever we're going with, just said that too. But yes, Merrill being a late addition, probably getting less likely to play then as a result. So you get more minutes for Niang, more minutes for Porter, definitely more minutes for Ty Jerome, I think, if you get Merrill out. Sacramento, 119.8 implied points going against Philly. Sacramento side here, Fox trade rumors. I'm not going to read how that affects him here. 8% owned for me. A little bit low on him, a little bit low on Sabonis at 10%. Field to be at about 15% for both guys. Malik Monk, 17% compared to 15. So I'm a little bit above on him. Decent price tag for him. DeMar DeRozan, not a guy I get a lot of, but it's 6,500 playing 35.5 minutes. He's not too bad here as well. About 9% of my lineups have him. Sacramento looks okay. I really have no issue with it, but there's going to be better value plays for sure. Maybe get more of those guys kind of mixed in as lesser-owned tournament high upside plays, I guess. Philadelphia, no Embiid, no Paul George. Caleb Martin is a Q tag, so if he does go, it's going to upset the wing minutes a little bit here. You'd get less Justin Edwards, less Ricky Council, less Eric Gordon. But Yabu, Kelly Oubre, Maxey should all be pretty locked in. It is a back-to-back for these guys. You'd expect maybe a little bit less minutes than otherwise, given the fact they did play. Well, they didn't play all of the fourth quarter. They did come out early in that one. They came back in for a fourth quarter stint, but didn't play it. So maybe they could still get to high 30s here, even though it is a back-to-back. I like the spot versus Sacramento, though. A little bit of a pace-up spot. League average defense for Sacramento as well. Maxey, I'll get, I think, 2x the field no matter what. Oubre, I'll be somewhere around there. Edwards is the one to watch out for because if Caleb Martin's in, you'll just get less Edwards, and I don't think he's actually a viable value play at that point. Dallas, same thing here. No Luka, no Lively. 117.3 implied points for these guys. Nobody here stands out that much. Gafford, a little bit above the field in terms of projection, but not getting a ton of ownership. On a Joe Val slate with similar projections, I actually have Joe Val higher right now. I would just take Joe Val over Gafford, but he's still a good play. Facing a New Orleans team that he kicked the ass of recently enough with Lively out. Everything else here, 5% or less ownership. I'm not getting much. New Orleans, not getting a lot here. Hawkins being out, as chat talked about here. I didn't update the projection for it. We'll free up about 24 minutes for Javonte Green, Alvarado, maybe a few more for DeJounte Murray. I believe is still questionable right now. Jamal Cain maybe gets a few more minutes. Brandon Boston, I guess, get back in the rotation. Really doesn't open up a lot for Hawkins being out. Zion's an okay tournament play to me. I got him about 2x the field here. I didn't juke his rates. His rates would look a lot better if I did give him the no Brandon Ingram rates where he averages like 1.6 fantasy points per minute. But Zion as a tournament play at 8,600, I would do. Murray, I would still do, even though he's not as good of a play as he was to me a little bit earlier in the year with Zion out. Don't mind these guys, but they don't project 5X or better. So really Zion or bust here for me in New Orleans. Clippers, you got Chris Dunn out. Everybody else playing. Kawhi's minutes up a little bit. This guy's not really priced for Kawhi's minutes to be up, and Kawhi himself not good enough yet to justify going to him at 6,900. But I guess if you wanted to, you could. He's been playing about a 1.03 fantasy point per minute pace this year, so not your vintage Kawhi at 6,900. I probably wouldn't do that. Is Murray officially in? Okay. He was a Q tag before, but I'll take your word for it, I guess. Or should I do that? You're not the go F yourself guy who's always wrong, so I don't I want to lump you in with him. But let's see. 4 o'clock report. New Orleans. And Murray off the report. So Crack has earned credibility today. That's how you do it, Crack. You give me the correct information, and you've gained some trust points for me. Much like gaining XP in a video game. That's what Crack just earned today. And he was right about Merrill, too. That's 2 in a row. So Crack is becoming a credible source in chat that you can rely on and set your watch to. Clippers, nobody here, though, with Dunn being out. Price tags were off. San Antonio, 8% Vassal for me. No other big stands here. These guys don't look that great. Wemby is basically going to be unknown, though. If you want to go that way, you could. But a match versus the Clippers, not really your marquee spots to do it, especially with Wemby and not being in LA for what that matters. And here's your FanDuel games. I'll talk about them in the deeper dive. I just don't care. OKC, Golden State, I can't care, unfortunately. There's too many fucking games in the slate. But some plays will be viable here. Kevin Durant, also a Q tag. If he's out, would open up a lot more for Booker. It used to be a big thing that would help out Okogie when he was still in the Suns, was Durant being out. Now I would guess it helps out Royce O'Neal, helps out probably Bradley Beal a little bit more. That's that. Yes, please listen to this one. Listen to Tango Hotel. Like and subscribe, guys. I'm just one guy here running an NBA channel, running an NFL channel, doing the best I can to give you the good info every day. It's been a lot more work lately with having to update the projections and the minutes every single day. We're doing the best I can. It's all I will ever promise you here in this channel. I will always do the best I can for you guys to make sure you have good info. And that applies to our presenting spots are coming up right now, because you know what it is, guys. Time to hop to the world of Unabated, get some good bets in using their conditional NBA projections, which you're going to learn about right now. Oh, those drums hit. You can feel the blood flowing.
You know the crowd is ready.
Lots of great data on Unabated. Of course, the conditional NBA projections, what you're going to see on screen. Rule guys in, rule guys out. Now we can't even make the joke. Zion Williamson actually plays games, so sometimes you actually have to rule him in. News, real-time NBA news. I personally don't want to be doing much on Twitter anymore because it makes me uncomfortable with how that's being run. So get your news from Unabated. Just sync it up to your Discord if you are a paying member, and you get all that for yourself. Grass! Grass. You got to yell grass every single time. Hopefully it's not too loud in the new microphone I have here, but grass all over the place on Unabated. Game day live streams, they do them a couple times a week. Watch them instead of this video if you want, but don't hurt me. Hammer, don't hurt him. What do you say to me? Unabated.com/NBA, promo code SPLASH. Let's go over here right now. Pull up our NBA props on Unabated and see what we have for points, rebounds, assists, and then the collective weight of points plus rebounds plus assists coming up. Chat's flying. The drums, the graphs. Thank you for the 411. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. Appreciate all you guys watching. Do smash that like button, though. Please do it. Trying to get to 1,000 subs before the All-Star break. It's not looking likely, but I'll still keep pushing you every day. And, of course, I do show up Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Do this work with you guys, getting ready for the NBA slate. And, of course, we are in this together. And even when I have to make the takes that are, uncomfortable, which I think we could say about, the anti-Damian Lillard, and Thompson takes yesterday, I will tell you guys how I view the game theory and try my best to ensure that you're viewing it in a way that'll be helpful for you. And really wish I had followed my own advice more and just full faded those guys yesterday, because I'm telling you, whenever you watch some content throughout the day, and whenever the YouTube chat, not just one person, whenever the collective will of a YouTube chat is like, these are the greatest plays in the world, and they also seem really obvious, usually it's time to fade those guys. It's how I feel about it. But man, people thought Damian Lillard was going to go into Milwaukee and put up 50, or go into Portland and put up 50. And it's like, it's never how that goes. All right. Sorting by value here. Your top bet right now, points bets for Ty Jerome. Hey, here we go. Unabated team Ty Jerome. Apparently PrizePicks just has not accounted for Darius Garland being out. 43.6% EV on PrizePicks right now for Ty Jerome over 11.5 points. That line has been greatly changed everywhere else to over 15.5. We got Malik Monk over 18.5 points, minus 110 odds on FanDuel for Malik Monk today is going to be your best bet. For the rest of these guys here, PrizePicks 9.3% EV, but you don't want an Underdog or DraftKings right now. Malik Monk on FanDuel looks the best, 13% EV at minus 110 odds. We got George Niang over 7.5 points, 10.9% EV on PrizePicks. Not available anywhere else, so take your George Niang bet, which does look better with Sam Merrill being questionable as well right now. Even though I'm sure it's not being changed in the projection set yet. J-Val. So J-Val under 14.5 points. Unabated has him playing 26 minutes. I don't think that's right. I think he plays at least 28. That said, he still cannot score a crazy amount of points even if he does play 28 minutes. So 10% EV, minus 105 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, and still playable on DraftKings where J-Val's under 14.5 at minus 110 odds. Terry Rozier under 11.5 points, minus 106 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, gets you 8.4% EV. Looks like you don't want that on any of those sites, not high V enough. But Terry Rozier under 11.5 points has been awful on the year. Take that 8.4% EV on FanDuel. And last but not least, Jose Alvarado under 7.5 points, even with Hawkins being ruled out in Unabated's data, I'm sure. 19 minutes here today gets you under 7.5 points at minus 105 odds, 8.1% EV for Jose Alvarado under 7.5 points. Let's go to rebounds. One of the Wizards trade J-Val seems weird to me. They would like to, but nobody wants to meet their price. He and Nikola Vucevic are both kind of locked in a world where teams don't want to pay their price yet. The teams are hoping that the price tag comes up as the as we get closer to the deadline, because we're now 10 days out. So that's I think how that's looking for both those guys. Rebounds, Bub Carrington, aka Carlton, to his non-friends. Bub over 3.5 rebounds today, 17.6% EV at minus 114 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. You're also getting almost 10% EV at plus 100 odds, over 3.5 on DraftKings. So plus money bets on Bub Carrington, and he's projected for the over anyway. So pretty good bets to take for Bub today, over 3.5 rebounds if you can get it. Javonte Green, 13.7% EV on under 4 rebounds, minus 118 odds for him on PrizePicks, the standard pick 'em right there. That gets you 13.7% EV. Can't bet anywhere else, though. So Javonte Green only on PrizePicks under 4 rebounds. Jordan Poole under 3.5 rebounds, 12.6% EV for him. That one's also on a PrizePicks pick'em. Looks like it's not in the other sports books, though. So Jordan Poole under 3.5 rebounds on PrizePicks pick'ems. You can get it. Eve Missy, 8.9% EV at minus 114 odds. Under 7.5 rebounds for him today on FanDuel. Not good anywhere else, so only on FanDuel. Eve Missy under 7.5 rebounds. And last for rebounds, we got Corey Kispert under 3.5 rebounds today, minus 175 odds. A lot of juice on that, but 8.6% EV for DraftKings, minus 175 odds under 3.5 rebounds for Corey Kispert. Jesus, what's the fucking over look like then? All right, plus 135. Still a lot of juice on that bet for both sides. And that's sports betting for you. The amount of juice on all these sites is just like crippling sometimes. Why would the scroll right? Would be a good question to ask here. Go to the right, please. I want to see the pick'em sites, and it won't let me pull this over. All right. Wait. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. I'm really trying to thread this one here. It's not letting me do it. So we're going to have to see partial parts of the screen here. Scroll all the way down to make sure we have our bets in, because we're going to need it for the best bets. Sorry, guys. Sometimes the sites are just a little janky with the window sizing and stuff like that. I'm really trying. There we go. We got it. All right. Duncan Robinson under 3.5 assists today. Good to go on PrizePicks, 18.1% EV. Probably don't want that bet anywhere else. Again, for sim stuff, you're looking for an 8% EV or higher. For market-based data, 3% or higher is generally your mark to hit. This is how it looks right now. Well, thank you for that, Joseph. Joseph, you're a legend. I appreciate that. Try my best. That's all I'll ever do. Bilal Koulibaly over 3.5. How you do anything is how you do everything. Lesson from Cars. 10.7% EV for minus 105 odds for Bilal Koulibaly on DraftKings Sportsbook. Over 3.5 assists for him. Looks like you don't want anywhere else besides DraftKings for Koulibaly over 3.5 assists. Max Strus over 3.5 assists. Definitely some more court time to go around if Merrill is out as well. This is assuming that Merrill is in, I presume. Max Strus, 4.2 assists here. Over 3.5, minus 118 odds on FanDuel. You could almost play it on DraftKings, but I'm not going to advocate for it. And lastly, in assists, Jordan Poole over 5.5 assists, 7.6% EV at plus 110 odds on DK Sportsbook. Not available on your pick'em sites, though. And lastly, PRAs. Let's sim these bad boys. Pulling in all the markets here and make sure we got this right. Please no Horfords or ADs today. I mean, look, I played AD, but I did say on the show, I was like, this is absolutely the kind of game where he gets hurt and leaves. And didn't expect it to happen quite as efficiently as it did, but he did get hurt and left there. And now he also, like, he's out a week is the initial report, but he could be out like a longer period of time, could be out like months if it's like a sports hernia thing. So something to watch out for with old AD. He's also not going to win Defensive Player of the Year now, to be my guess. Eve Missy, under 18, if he ever was. Eve Missy, under 18.5 PRAs, 21.5% EV for him on PrizePicks. Looks like there's no EV anywhere else, and the lines are different. So Eve Missy, under 18.5 PRAs, good to go if you can get it on PrizePicks. Javonte Green, under 12.5 PRAs, 19.5% EV on PrizePicks and Underdog. Not on your regular sports books, though. Corey Kispert, under 15.5. Wow, this is actually not great EV. Did I pull in every line? I must have. We have a lot of Q-tag guys that could be a part of it, but I don't know if I got in every line. So let's scroll all the way down. Try to make sure here because there's got to be a few more plus EV bets. Resort. There we go. Keegan Murray, 13.1% EV on over 18.5 PRAs. That one's going to go on PrizePicks and Underdog. Julian Strouser, 12.9% EV on your pick'em sites where it's over 9.5 PRAs for him. You also do that on DraftKings where it's over 9.5. So Julian Strouser overs today, over 9.5 PRAs. And Nick Claxton, under 20.5 PRAs, good for your DraftKings sportsbook bets. Minus 105 odds and a 11.4% EV for Nick Claxton, under 20.5 PRAs. And Trey Lyles, over 10.5 PRAs, good on PrizePicks, 10.6% EV. And lastly, Stephon Castle, still starting, but they're taking the under here, under 19.5 PRAs, minus 115 odds on DraftKings sportsbook, gets you 9.1% EV. And now let's pray that Stokastic has updated their data. Let's see what we're getting here. All right, they did about 10 minutes ago. So we're going to get a fresh set with Stokastic. Again, check it Unabated yourself if you want. A great tool, of course, getting $30 a month with promo code SPLASH. Check them out. Again, conditional NBA projections. They also sell NBA DFS projections. As I've said countless times on here, and I'll keep saying it because I really think a few of you guys should take the leap and take an experiment with it. Take Unabated projections, put them in a Stokastic sim, put it in a Saber sim, because they're really good projections that are not being used by enough of the field right now. And I would really advocate for that because Unabated, like I wanted to like shortcut any other sites out there. Unabated probably puts more work in their projections than most sites do. And because of the markets that they have for that, a lot of top dollar bettors out there are paying Unabated a lot of money to have access to this stuff. So just a recommendation for you guys if you want to get something to get different without getting too weird. And of course, Stokastic, all the tools and data that I show you on screen, along with everything else they have, stuff for NHL, golf, college sports, whatever, NASCAR. It's all 15% off the promo code SPLASH. It's the best deal they offer for all their DFS tools and betting tools. So check them out. Promo code SPLASH, link in the description to check out a full menu of stuff from Stokastic. Now, of course, we're building 5,000 lineups, so we'll have them sim 10,000 times. DeJounte Murray available. That's good. And no unintentional from Unabated. I actually did log out for Unabated while the video is playing, so I got ahead of it. But good call by Sotex. You now know the stream well enough to know the obstacles that got presented my way throughout. Much like Hercules, I get different tasks thrown my way. And also, equally jacked is old Herc. You can't see my bicep because of the circle here. But man, it is popping. 24-inch pythons, brother. Oh, now you can see my arms. I can't do the bit as well. Let's see what we get with Stokastic. Then I'm going to update all my data, run another sim before I do the deeper dive at 5. Looks like no deeper dive tomorrow, so I don't know if they're going to do an announcement about it, but I think they're going to have deeper dive not on every slate. It's going to be the thing moving forward. So if you want access to me every day, this is going to be your best place to do it moving forward, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. here. So check it out. Of course, hit the like button, subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Let's get to that 800 subs if we can, guys, but we're trying to get to 1,000 by the NBA All-Star break, and we're at a pace where we could do it, but you know how it is. Yeah, Spags American beer, and I'll get booed out of arenas for fucking dropping N-bombs and sex tapes. That's not where I want to be. I can tell you, I've never dropped an N-bomb in a sex tape. That's the Spags promise, that I've never ever once done that one. The other Spags promise, Diet Coke way better than Coke Zero. I'll die on that hill. Other people that feel differently, but man, love a good DC. Coke Zero, trash people. Top 150 lineups here. Ty Jerome is number 1. Ty Jerome, Kelly Oubre, Max Strus, Josh Okogie, my boy, Jay Val, Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Tyson sneaking in here. More minutes to go around the wing if Merrill is out, so I guess I get it. Nikola Jokic here as well. So you're paying up. You got your cheap center. You got Tyrese Maxey, who I like a lot. You got Ty Jerome, was cheap. Value with Max Strus, value with Okogie. I like that lineup. Number 2, Jordan Poole, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Tyson again, Josh Okogie, Jalen Duren. So many Jalen's. Oh my God. With all different spellings too. Ty Jerome, Bam Adebayo, and Domantas Sabonis. So, okay. Ty Jerome again, Okogie again. Seem to be the key things to observe. Cade Cunningham, Kelly Oubre again, Nick Smith, Keyshawn George, Moussa Diabate, Ty Jerome, Josh Okogie, and Jokic. So once again, Jerome and Okogie, seemingly very secure value. We got Jordan Poole, Bub Carrington, Justin Edwards, Miles Bridges, Jay Val, Ty Jerome, Keegan Murray, Nikola Jokic. And lastly here, we've got in the top 5 ROI lineups. Of course, you want to see more, check out Stokastic yourself. No, that would be the dream, Jetty, but no, I have to grab him for my own fridge down here like a gentleman. Jordan Poole, Max Strus, RJ Barrett, Josh Okogie, Moussa Diabate, who is still starting center value, Ty Jerome, Miles Bridges, Domantas Sabonis. These are fun lineups, man. The chalk is going to be very congregated here, and I would have no disagreement with it. All right, we got it's a funny quote, but no, I've never wanted to get it out. F-bombs, I still want to get out. That's one where that unfortunately is still ingrained in me from that being a thing you used to say in the 90s, like calling a guy that word as like a way to cut at him. Those sometimes I still if you've seen it, maybe get close to it on chat a few times. But yeah, that's it. The N-word was never a thing. I grew up in the South Bronx. I would never have dropped that. We got Jordan Poole, negative 3% ROI. Oh, go. I'm not pulling that up. Go F yourself, but that's funny. Nikola Jokic, negative 3.3% ROI. Again, the fact these are all negatives, don't worry about it. It's about the directional accuracy. It's not about just, who's like getting you 100% ROI. It never happens because of how many lineups we're looking at. But a negative 3% ROI for Jordan Poole's number 1, negative 3.3 for Nikola Jokic, number 2. Jalen Duren, number 3 at negative 5%. Jalen Tyson. There was so much Jalen Tyson. I did not expect that one. Negative 6%. I have to say, there's a day you guys might not have been watching the channel at that point. It was the Pelicans versus the Cavs. Everybody was out in that game. Jalen Tyson and Antonio Reeves going head-to-head like LeBron and Kevin Durant or something. It was insane. Jalen Tyson rebounded like a motherfucker, got some threes up, got some assists, a little bit of everything. So I'm not going to shit on the Jalen Tyson call here. I just don't know that he's going to get enough minutes with Strus being in where he's like a play you really want to get to. Westbrook, negative 6% ROI is number 5. Bridges is number 6, negative 7. Overall exposures in your top 150 lines from Stokastic, 90% Ty Jerome. So a lot of Ty Jerome. 61% Moussa Diabate. So 15% over the field on Moussa Diabate. He is a starting center. And look, the centers, when it's Nick Richards, when it's Mark Williams out there, they've all produced. Diabate himself is not as good as those guys, but he's under 4K. He's a starting center for Charlotte. And they only have Taj Gibson to go to besides him. So that's how that looks. Who is not going to start today, would be my guess. Josh Okogie, 53% exposure compared to 31. Love Josh Okogie. No issue with that. Not a big pro J-Val stand. 53% compared to 42. Still, certainly, you're getting more than the field here. 11% leverage, but I think that's because you have the pay up center options. You have your Townses, you have your Jokic's, you have value at other spots. So I think the sim is willing to move away from J-Val a little bit more, but still getting more than the field. So no issue with that. Kelly Oubre, 51% compared to 33, playing a lot of minutes. Could certainly play a lot if they keep it competitive versus Sacramento. And Miles Bridges, 43% compared to 23. So that's that. Your highest leverage plays right now. 22% leverage on Josh Okogie. So that's your biggest leverage play. I love him. I'll have more than that. Ty Jerome, 19% leverage. I love him. I'll probably have the same amount here. But again, as I said before, if I could lock 3 players on the slate, if I had to, or like if I had to lock him or not play him, Okogie, Jerome, J-Val, I just don't know. I don't know how those 3 really fail, even though anybody can fail in DFS. It's really hard with the amount of minutes these guys will have. Miles Bridges, 19%. I don't know what this is specifically in reference to, Fistula, but I appreciate it, and I appreciate the sentiment behind it. Miles Bridges, hopefully not me calling guys F-bombs. That's when I train myself to not do certain things I don't think are right. So, I'm like a dog. I'm training myself like a dog. 18% leverage on Kelly Oubre. 18% leverage on Jordan Poole. There we go. Okay, fair enough. Nikola Jokic, 18% leverage for him as well. So a big pro stand on Jokic. Your negative leverage stands by Stokastic. Karl-Anthony Towns, they're down on him, negative 12%. So they're up on Jokic, low on Towns. There is a push-pull dynamic with centers in the same game. I wouldn't say, for me, you don't have to, fade one because you're playing a lot of the other, but I could see why that would work out logistically. Negative 12% on Jakob Poeltl. You're barely playing him. Negative 6% Bub Carrington. So he's not being played very much, but you're barely playing him. De'Aaron Fox with trade rumors. I still like that 8K price tag for him. And the lack of Philly defense overall, but Fox not being played very much by Stokastic. Kel'el Ware, full fade on him. 7% ownership for the field, so they're low on it in terms of the ownership projection. Only 2% in their top lineups. And Jamal Murray, fade on him as well, though really not big anti-stands in Stokastic's top 150. That's the look, guys. You guys know the deal. Of course, I'll give you my splash plays in one moment, but please, before we do that, show some love here again. Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. I am here. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know, whenever I go live, hit the like button as well. It does go a long way for me. I'm just one guy here doing the work as best I can every day, and that's all any of us can do. But in particular, as a content creator, I'd love to have data aligned perfectly. Instead, I'm just busting my ass to make sure you guys get a good video every day, and that is what I will do for you guys every day I possibly can. Check out our sponsors too. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Stokastic, 15% off. And the big dog, Unabated, $30 off. Promo code SPLASH on there. They're all linked in the description. Click the links, check them out. And please, they all support the show directly, so please do that for yourself as well. Splash plays for the day. Easy if you watch the whole video. Ty Jerome, Jonas Valanciunas, Josh Okogie. Those are your value guys. Those are the best value plays we've had in the slate in a while, I think. Even if they don't start, I mean, most of them are going to start. And if they don't, still going to be minutes to go around for those guys. I would still take a lot of shots on those guys today, no matter what. But if they don't start, bump down a little bit. J-Val's absolutely going to start them. Besides that, Miles Bridges, awful guy. He's on the thumbnail, though. When you count for how awful of a guy he is, take a lot for me to put him on the thumbnail. He's a smash play. He just doesn't respect his teammates. And that's the reason to play him. He doesn't like other people. But really, it's just he's going to gun, and that's it. The guys I have out today, no LaMelo, no Brandon Miller, obviously, and no Mark Williams in that spot. I think that's it. I still like Jokic and Towns, obviously, but the values and Bridges to me, I think, are the things to build around. And I would say, too, Tyrese Maxey, cape from yesterday. I do it again today. It's too good of a spot when you have Paul George and Embiid out. If they're in that game, it's going to be because Maxey went nuts. And yesterday, he scored a lot of points, didn't contribute a lot in rebounds and assists. Even stocks, he didn't do a whole lot there. He can do a lot more than he did yesterday, and I think Maxey's a really good play at his price tag. That's a slate, guys. Even with my great advice, gamble responsibly. It's always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this show at Splash Play NBA. Of course, the NFL show at Splash Play Pod. Check out my first draft of the season as well. For the big boards, you want to check that on the NFL channel. And I'll be back in a few minutes on Stokastic with an AirPod in because my new mic picks up all the audio. So you're going to hear Josh echoing otherwise on that stream. But could be the last deeper dive for a while, guys. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But come join me there in a few moments. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Thanks for hanging, guys. And see you soon. Bye-bye.